So here we go again, guys, with the second series of the day, bringing us to Division 2 into the finals of that particular division. In the series, and will be pretty interesting, I would say. Bringing us uuuu 2001 versus yuejin, one of the old guard against the up-and-comers. And yeah, yuejin getting himself back into Division 1 next season after falling out of it last season with a pretty unlucky result there. Like, actually having quite a lot of points and a lot of ties against good players, but ties not giving him enough points there to hold on to Division 1 last season. With uuuu becoming the winner of Division 4, and because of his performance in other tournaments and so on, skipping directly into Division 2, skipping over Division 3. And his results also underline that decision, because he got just right through Division 2 as well, and is now in the finals here against yuejin, after beating Jada Boy and King of Wargame quite decisively. With a 2-1 against Jada Boy though, who obviously was one of the favorites of Division 2 though as well. So really, really interesting results. And once again, it's about a prize pool of $25 that is sponsored by you guys, and you can make it even bigger. Help contribute to the tournament by using the exclamation mark Matcherino in the chat. Get to this site here, and then use the code Sherman to add another 50 cents to the prize pool, or by just visiting G Fuel, for example, to add another 10 cents if you're outside of the US, or if you're in the US, by visiting this link to even add 20 cents to the prize pool of the tournament. With that said, guys, it's time to get into the game, and that will start now. So, are you ready?
Yeah, we're ready when you are on your countdown.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, here we go. Let's get the party started. yuejin versus uuuu, which should be a really fun match, because uuuu is a really, really aggressive player, and yuejin is a guy who usually is pretty good in faking stuff and like having these mind games. Let's see if that works against a guy like uuuu, or if he just will punch through it. uuuu being the guy on the left here in blue, with an interesting division, Panzerlair. A division that we haven't seen too often this season. With Panther D's.
Back in the day, it was one of the best, or not the, if not the best, division on the Axis side. One of the better. Lost a lot of impact for a while, but has been coming back now. I think since Focke-Wulf got buffed, they've been coming back. We actually even have the bans now to share about this game.
Yeah. So, right. The bands are 3rd Mechanized, 1st Polish, 3rd Guards Tank Corps, and 16th Panzer, which is also an interesting ban coming from uuuu. And the bans from yuejin are 3rd US, which is a really interesting ban. Someone really doesn't like Shermans there, it looks like. At least not against himself, as he obviously plays 3rd Canadian himself. 7th Mechanized, Blindata, and 97th. So 6 bans on allies, 2 bans on Axis, which is quite the usual amount of Axis versus allies bans that we get at the moment. And also, like, all of these bans are kind of standard. Like, with maybe the only ban that is a bit off being 1st Polish, which fell out of favor quite a bit over the last half year. But obviously there's still a strong division, so all the other ones for sure are S to A+ tier there in the bans.
Yeah, I agree. Even if you were a bit surprised about 3rd US, I'm not too surprised, seeing how since the MG buff, those M2 A transports with their 50 cal together with everything else really lends to 3rd US armored playstyle to really roll over, like with an early push and decimate the opponent's hope.
Yeah, like I think the only division missing there was 3rd Canadian, and I guess that was on purpose by yuejin to give himself the pick. So
yeah, and I actually talked some with the Quarter U, and he said that because he actually intentionally left Third Canadian, he didn't forget he left it open because he said that he doesn't think that this is really the map for Third Canadian. So we'll see then if he can live up to his prediction of that. He's doing some good trades in the south with his Panther and Puma. He has very, very little infantry in the North Hill here that we've talked about last game, a few games ago, being very important, but which are now getting overrun. But at least he has some armor preventing him from getting totally overrun.
yeah, Shermans for sure will struggle in the long-range engagements against Panthers and Jagdpanzers on this map. That's true for sure. But with the APCR buff, 6-pounders and 17-pounders, like especially 6-pounders, 17-pounders, having enough penetration as well as it is, but especially 6-pounders might be more deadly here. So let's see how it goes out in this matchup, because obviously Shermans still are amazing in dealing with infantry, and if you get them into the right spot, the extra aim time also will help them out in armored combat. The question is if yuejin can get them into the right spot. Getting some nice crits onto the Jagdpanzer for a second there, but not quite able to finish it off.
Yeah, I think in the north here, you don't want your Shermans to fight the Jagdpanzer in that range. You're... Oh wow, it's actually doing a lot better than I thought. Oh, it's because it's shifting because it got side-shotted from the 6-pounder.
Yeah, it got critted like 3 times, like 2 times shooter knocked out, 1 time how shooter killed, so Jagdpanzer are actually in a bit of trouble there, but the Panzer IVs are supporting it, and yuejin, Quarter U kept his Martyrs and his Jagdpanzer on the ridge alive, so he still is a threat there to the side of the Shermans and so on of yuejin, who brings in more 6-pounders now, and I think that's a wise choice. That absolutely could work out. 6-pounder in the north now engaging onto the Panzer IV there as well, which got penetrated quite a couple of times by now. But now the Martyrs come over the ridge again, get the kill onto the Sherman, get a bailout onto the second one, and this is quite devastating for yuejin, who is now down 2 Shermans there, and a lot of anti-armor went with them.
Exactly, and he might have the 6-pounders, but the SPDWs at this kind of range, they really decimate anti-tank guns.
Yeah, the second one also went out forward without infantry cover, so actually it got melted by Panzer Grenadiers. So really good trades so far by Quarter U. Really good trades by him so far. Getting himself into a good spot in the south as well. 13-11 there for him.
Yeah, the Panther Puma doing a nice job here. Again, like we saw last game, blue side taking a half. This time it's not as, I wouldn't say really it's a free flag, seeing how yuejin would have a difficulty dealing with the Panther to take that flag back in the open.
Yeah,
but we'll see how many Shermans we see, because that's the one thing that the Canadian, the slight maybe weakness they have is that due to how the Shermans are distributed, they don't have as many Shermans, and they're a bit slower in the first phases of the game.
Yeah. Well, and there's quite a lot of armor by now already on the field for Quarter U, coming in with another Panzer and 2 Panzer IVs in the north. So if yuejin slips up here and doesn't get his tanks to actually get some kills on those, it might get quite uncomfortable for him here. Now trying to get a side shot onto the Jagdpanzer, but Quarter U actually moving back, not allowing that to happen, and now getting a penetration onto the Sherman already. Jagdpanzer finishing it off, and this is really rough here now. Gets at least a Panzer IV, but I would trade a Panzer IV for a Sherman every day, and now the Jagdpanzer comes back out, threatening the Sherman. Now there's no Sherman left to flank it, and Quarter U plays a really good tank versus tank combat so far in this game.
Yeah, very cool small micro there, actually meaning a lot in these tank battles, and that Jagdpanzer position is very important because it threatens the bridge slightly, and if he just can move up like a slightly more, just where the line now goes, slightly behind that, there's actually a spot where AT guns etc. can shoot down the road and really mess with the reinforcements for red side here.
Yeah, and Shermans really don't do anything on this range to Yak Panzer, so saying that they just killed it. Wow, what was that? Oh god, that was a caster curse. I'm really sorry, Quadro, that I cast a curse during Yak Panzer that way. Oh my god. Like, that must have been like a 3 or 4% chance of penetration there. Like, really low.
I think it was partly that they lost too much health to the bomb, and then just the last half health was killed by a Sherman.
Yeah, that was for sure quite unlucky. Like I said, I feel sorry there for caster cursing that sad Yak Panzer. That one goes on me. 30-11 now for Quadro still though, as he's getting himself back onto the hill with the Yak Panzer and the Marder. Killing off another anti-tank gun there from yuejin. So there's no 6-pounders there remaining. Only one Sherman.
He tried in the south also to sneak in a flag there, but some nice positioning by the Vickers and the Sherman managed to stop that push without having the Panther or the Puma really messing with them.
Sherman DD pushing into a Panther in the north. That's not the best idea there. By yuejin. Really not using his Shermans, like, always a bit off with the timing on them when they come for flanking maneuvers and leaving them too often in the open here. Shermans really being the guys who excel in CQC fights, but not having the penetration powers to deal with Yak Panzers or Panther Ds too well when it comes to these medium range fights. Like, it's not quite long range, but even on medium range, your average Sherman doesn't do much against the Panther D.
You quite need to utilize the sneakiness of Shermans and their aim buff by sneaking around in the close quarters and trying to then catch, like you just said, like off guard. But here, Triple Quadro doesn't really allow that with some infantry holding it in. So yuejin needs some path to be able to sneak around here.
Yeah, you can also see he's playing really with little aggression. Like, you can see how Quadro goes for the KD victory here. Like, he has more forces than yuejin, but he's still not pushing with them. He's just always coming to the edge, knowing that yuejin has to go back, trying to get back into a 12-12 situation, has to take some territory, and whenever yuejin is a bit out of position, Quadro comes in, snaps onto him, and kills off a Sherman or two, gets a good trade, then moves back, and gets the edge more and more tilted into his favor.
Yeah, it was quite nice by yuejin in the city. He managed to get the first Panther, but Quadro was ahead of him. Even if he managed to get outmaneuvered there, his next Panther wasn't far behind, and with those other Panzer IVs, he really doesn't really lose any ground losing that Panther. And as you say now, in the hill, he's really getting the good trades, and there's really nothing there to stop him other than the scary void of the enemy territory not knowing what's hiding there.
Yes, 2 rifles now coming up, but they don't do anything against tanks, obviously. We have the first 2 Fireflies now hitting the field as we are getting into B phase. They obviously have the potential of killing stuff here quite a bit better than the normal Shermans, as they have the penetration power of 170 millimeters, but they still don't trade super well against the tanks on the side of Quadro because they're more expensive by quite a margin than Panzer IVs, while still trading 1-1 more often than not, because Panzer IVs can penetrate their frontal armor, and against Panthers they also don't have quite enough penetration power to securely penetrate them with every shot, but the Panthers have in return. So Fireflies are for sure a tool you need to use, but it's still not the amazing tool you really want to have here in this fight.
Yeah, and I think we see a bit of the Flak 41 being, yet again, like being on that crevice downhill. It stops it from firing the first shot quite a bit later. So I think that maybe should just peek up over the ridge, because then you also get some shots if any tanks try to move there. And it's at a range where no Vickers will be able to reach it, unless he loses the forest to the north, which he should have enough time to move it back down. So, but I guess it's just a small, very small detail. And now some Gepards coming in as well to support the AA, and another Flak 88.
Yeah. Gepards, Flak 88. Yeah, like you really playing the slow game here, getting further and further ahead and building on it, getting better combined arms, like really not taking any risks. So there's a big improvement to his like play last season in Division 4, where it was just more to his sheer aggressiveness and like knowledge of the meta combined with some solid micro that he played, but now he also like has the patience to really chill and wait out for the enemy to make the mistakes, to force the enemies to make mistakes, and this is really another step up in the power level of Quarter-U, which makes me even looking forward for him in Division 1 with some chances of succeeding there as well, I think, because this looks like a really strong play.
Yeah, and in the meantime, he managed to snatch a flag in the south, with just a single Pioneer in a half-track managing to sneak up, take the Vickers, and with that he had some 2 other infantry squad being able to push even further up, and taking a second flag now, killing also an AT gun, the Panther Puma, and now a Panzer IV sitting back. I think this Panzer Grenadier in the up is more scouting, but like taking just not 1 but 2 out in the open with just the 1 Panther, it gives puts a lot of pressure on Yuejin that you're 2 flags down, and Quarter-U hasn't spent a lot of points in acquiring those flags.
Yes, and now also the AA is good enough to stop the air investment of Yuejin completely. Bitfire's not getting through to the AA in the north anymore, which was built up also kind of secretly by Quarter-U. I don't think Yuejin saw that build up, so that's why he tried to get in there. And yeah, the Gepards and the 288s absolutely stopped them dead in its tracks. And now Quarter-U is putting in a bit of pressure, because now he can trade here on the hill without taking any fire back, killing off more and more infantry, taking out a couple more Shermans, and it's only the 2 Fireflies and the 17-pounder left in the AT department for Yuejin, and that is just not anywhere near enough to deal with the situation that we have here on hand.
Yeah, and also at the same time, I think one thing that Quarter-U does better is that his tanks are a lot more blobbed. So when he gets the tank engagement, it's usually 2 or 3 Quarter-U tanks versus a single Sherman. Now, if you see on Yuejin, like his Shermans has been working in pairs, while Quarter-U's tanks have been working in like 4 or 3 at the time, which has been one of the reasons why I think Quarter-U has been doing quite well with a lot of the tank trades here.
Yeah, it looks really desperate right now for Yuejin. Like, this game is next to over. The whole...
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Quarter-U played the positional play so well with all his Panzer IVs, Panthers, and Jagdpanzers just working so well together, getting Yuejin into a lot of uncomfortable positions. With Yuejin only having 1 tool in the A phase, only having the Sherman, or like 2 tools, Sherman and 6-pounder, which were just not enough to deal with the combination that was against him. And
a lot of people don't leave 3rd Canadian open, but Quarter-U sure shows his skill by leaving it open and playing well against it. And I think also that's a lot what we've seen here, like putting that pressure in the south, while then also, like you said, like even if there's not even a double tick, it looks really bad for Quarter-U, because Quarter-U has been, really bad for Yuejin, because Quarter-U has been able to invest in the anti-air and like other support things. Now another Flak 88 in the open, whilst not being pushed back where Yuejin has put pressure on at all. And I think that says like how well he's been doing, being able to afford those like AA and other units while still not losing any territory.
Yeah, now we see Yuejin trying to get a force together to maybe challenge the North and maybe like try to overwhelm there with a really nice play. Bringing in the Ram now, like to give himself the heavy lead in veterancy. I think he will use it as a frontline commander even. Firefly going down though, and this is really bad. Like losing both the Fireflies before the Ram is there is absolutely bad news, and they didn't got too much done before dying either, so yeah, this is a really shitty position here that Eugen is in. Like,
yes, it's just like I said, that the Eugen, those Fireflies, they died one by one fighting 2 or 3 of quarter-use tanks. It's the tight nature, which is scary when the enemy sends in like planes to like bomb it, but with the AA and none of those planes coming, Quarter-U really has been able to keep his tanks in a small formation to really win out all of those close quarter engagements.
If you have to be critical of, like, I think one mistake that Eugen did here is maybe not playing with off-map at all. I think that would have maybe been a good way of trying to beat these clusters, like ping them down and then jumping onto them with his Shermans when they are pinned down, because if it's unpinned Panthers versus unpinned Shermans, obviously the Panthers are the better tank, but if you can get it pinned down and then maybe get a side shot on when they're falling back or something like that, maybe a bit easier. And Still Canadian has a lot of off-map, so that might have been an idea here to try to get it, but by now even that I think might not be enough, because there's just too many units all over the place here for Quarter-U.
Yeah, you're very right that maybe one of the things that was needed was a much earlier off-map, because as especially in the hill area, there's like the forces of the blue side are usually very much crammed together just over that crevice, and like getting some off-maps up there might have helped him then to really push Quarter-U off the ledge. But yeah, as you say, it's hard to know, and also easier for us with the God Eye rule.
Yeah. So for sure now a shame that the commander arrives without having too many units to buff up actually. Like the more units you have, the better commander investment is. And it's really, the latest change from Eugen is really nice, that commanders now can come in earlier, like all the tank commanders and so on, which I think will change the commander game by quite a bit. We will actually see some more of these, like the Ram commander now being called in, because it was a really heavy limitation to only get them in C phase. You usually want to have your commander in A or at latest in B. So all these tank commanders were never used, because you don't want to buy more than 1 or maximum 2 commanders in your deck anyway. But with them now being available in A, they're a nice trade-off. Like, obviously the tank commander is a bit easier to spot, a bit easier to kill maybe than an infantry commander, but you can also utilize it closer to the front line. You can maybe even push with it and just like take out the middleman, not taking any leaders, but just using your commander for the instant 2-star veterancy for the units around it. And yeah, that will give a lot of potential plays in the future, which I'm already really looking forward to. Yeah,
I very much agree with that. I think that there are only like needs to be fixed now. While it has very little balance impact, I feel that they're still having the points of the old system, so sometimes you have a bit of a weird point for some commanders. Like, I think Blindata, the unarmored commander in a vehicle, costs 20 points more than the armored version that has an MG and is faster. But yeah, in the end, it's a very, very minimal impact on gameplay. But yeah, I very much like the change. It's like you say, like now. It's not only the Befehl Panzer, Porsche Panzer that is the one commander that you actually see on the front line. Sometimes now people can be a little bit more cocky to maybe then like here, like using the Ram commander here and there.
Yeah, Ram obviously still having the limitation that it has had in Normandy. With a 6-pounder gun, it only has AP shells, so it's not as good as other Shermans. But if you combine it with other Shermans, it actually has obviously also the high rate of fire of a 6-pounder. So it is a pretty dangerous anti-tank vehicle, and with other Shermans combined that have the soft firepower, it can be a pretty pretty dangerous push into enemy lines when all these other Shermans go up 2-star veterancy through it. But it doesn't look like this will be too much of an issue in this game for quadryu, who is pushing in a bit deeper now and taking a couple of casualties there, just using a Jagdpanzer, but getting the Firefly in return afterwards. Now I think his Panzer IV and Marder are doomed as well. Marder at least getting one more penetration, I think, in onto the Sherman, yeah. But he's still far enough ahead that it looks really, really difficult for yuejin to change that in the next 5 minutes, as yuejin is not only being under pressure in the north, he's also losing the south, and he's losing it heavily, with no real options there to getting it back.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he doesn't exactly, because he needs to win in the north, but he can't really take back the south and win in the north at the same time in just 3.5 minutes. So it looks very, very dark for yuejin. I feel the game is pretty much sealed. They're just playing out the last minutes.
quadryu, Tiger, to answer your questions, quadryu left 3rd Canadian open on purpose because he says that it is not good enough in open maps like this, and it looks like he's right. Like, it looks like he had the right way of dealing with all the Shermans and so on. So 3rd Canadian for sure is still a strong division, but on this map it looked like it gets countered by at least the playstyle of quadryu. Maybe yuejin took it the wrong way, but
fair enough.
fair enough, yeah.
Yeah, like exactly. It was intentional by quadryu to leave it open, and it got picked, and he played against it, and he did very well against it. So it's even while they're amazingly strong, there are ways to deal with them, especially on maps like this, it seems.
And
so,
it feels really good to see 3rd Canadian lose after being left open. Like, I know back in the day it was always like, oh no, he left 3rd Canadian open, he's doomed. But by now that's not a given anymore. Like, if it's on the right map like this, where 3rd Canadian can't use its CQC advantage of 20-point infantry with Shermans, and where the enemy can play with the Panthers and so on, hold the long-range engagements, then it is quite a bit more of a close battle, and here it really looked like quadryu had a way better strategy going into this match than yuejin for the matchup, with maybe also quadryu having way more experience in this matchup, because I think you play 3rd Canadian way more often than you play Panzer, so he had a lot of time to learn, and it looks like he learned his lessons and really got the way of countering 3rd Canadian on this map. Maybe we will see it differently when he has to play it against a Gonzo with 3rd Canadian, which could also happen next season when they meet each other in Division 1. But for now, it looks like it for sure was the right decision here to leave the 3rd Canadian open. 17-pounder going down, 16-8 here, and I would expect yuejin to surrender any second here. The sexy co-caster we have here, Tiger, is Mr. A Lot, right over from Japan.
Yes, my extreme Japanese accent, very sexy.
Well, it's hard to have a Japanese accent when you're from Sweden, so yeah.
Damn it! Don't spoil it. All right. But yeah, it's yeah, yuejin doesn't have anything gas. So it's gonna be an interesting second game. Well, now then it's going to be likely. I think I don't know who won the coin flip, but usually people want to get the division counter pick rather than the first pick. In my experience, maybe from what you have, it's different. So it'll be interesting to see then what happens in the next game.
Well, yeah, actually, the in the survey we got, it was quite contradictory. Like, most of the people said it was pretty balanced between player 1 and 2, and then we had like 4 people say that the player who gets the first pick is better off, and then we had like 6 or 7 players saying that second pick is better. So it was pretty even. Like, with like 2/3 saying it's good as it is. So it looks like we had a pretty good way of picking and counter-picking this season. which feels pretty good that games don't get decided in this section. But yeah, quadru for sure did a good game in this here and got yuejin fully counted out. Let's see how it will go out in game number 2. With yuejin hopefully fighting a bit more back.
Great, I think we'll take a break and then we'll see some other divisions slowing out on the battlefield for Division 2.
Yeah. Yeah, let's...
Hi.
Hey DM424, welcome back, welcome back. Happy New Year to you and to Tiger as well, obviously. And thanks for the subscriptions to both of you. And yeah, let's see you guys in 4 minutes with game number 2. With obviously, hopefully a bit of a closer game between Mr. yuejin and quadru. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And here we go again, guys. Welcome back to game number 2 between Eugen and Mr. Quattro U, with the game number 1 going into the favor of the guy we have on the left side here in blue, playing again as playing as an allied division this time in an allies versus allies matchup, playing as the lovely 29th Guards Tank Corps. Oh no, not only 29th Tank Corps. Right, on the right side, Eugen now plays the division that he banned last game, getting himself 3rd Armored Spearhead. So, talking about bans, what do we got this game? We got again 3rd Guards Tank Corps, 3rd Mechanized, and 3rd Canadian banned for Quattro U, so he doesn't want to play against them on this map. And 1st Polish for him again. Whilst on the other side, it's way more access bans. Like, it's 4 access bans this time for Eugen, which is surprising. We got Lehr, Blindata, 12 SS, and 16th Panzer. So, 4 Panzer divisions getting taken out there. I guess he really didn't want it to have a rematch of the last game. And it makes sense.
I would say,
I think it makes...
First Polish quite surprising, and that he goes for 12 SS instead of like 21st is, I think, also personally is a bit of a surprise.
Well, I think the reasoning is that 3rd Guards, 3rd US Armored is really good in allies versus allies, not so much in Axis versus allies, because the jumbos really are better against T-34s, T-35s and so on than they are against Panthers and PaK-43s especially. So it makes sense to go for more Axis, and I think that's also the reason why we see an allies versus allies, with the split being 4-4 on the bans between Axis and allies. So Eugen kind of forced the allies versus allies here. Also, with the bans we got, it's interesting to see 29th Tank Corps being the pick for Quattro U. I guess he wants to have the IS-2s really badly, that's why he picks it. Because...
No, I think they're actually a good pick. I've been playing them lately myself, like over the holidays, and been saying, like, even before this game, been like ranting in the boot camp about that they really, since the changes in the meta a lot, have really risen to power a lot, due to, especially in the Allies mirror, because against Shermans, you can start off with your 85s. They also have the good 85s with the APCR, which have gotten a buff now. So you can hopefully stand up against the Shermans with that, and then you have the IS-2s to really shut down other, like the big tanks.
Yeah, like...
So I quite like him.
Like, yeah, I think that's the reason why, especially as he got that as a counter pick. With Eugen again, deciding to play player 1, he really likes to be the guy who gets to snatch the division, the 1st division, getting the bans into his favor, and like then taking the best division left over from his point of view. And which is a really interesting way of playing the pick and ban phase of the game. And yeah, will be an interesting game. Like, Jumbos and Shermans are strong, but obviously IS-2s are an issue for 3rd US Armored. So let's see how he solves that issue. Bringing in the push in the middle. Not having a...
Yeah, this is what you want with 3rd US, taking a big push, but it's like you say, he needs to be the offensive one, because he can't let Quattro U build up T-34, 85s and IS-2s.
Yeah. M10 Tank Destroyer coming in into the south. One of them already there, the second one coming up from the middle. It's also an interesting unit that, like, yeah, later on we will obviously see the Sherman 76s. And those in combo with the T-35 should be what will deal with the with the jumbos, with the T-35s, jumbos and 76s. But first jumbo already falling to the T-35, getting the side shot onto it, and this is really devastating for Eugen's push in the middle. His Shermans just can't deal with the T-34 85, especially not if they run into 1v1. And he lacked a bit of vision there to deal with T-34. That was the issue. He didn't saw the 85 till it was too late. And the southern push moves on further and further forward for Quadro U. And really there's little yuejin can do about it. He just doesn't have the tools in his deck to deal with it. So he has to let it happen, whilst maybe try to get the push through in the center. But the second Q3485 shows up now for Quadro U, and two 3485s will start to engage the Shermans, and they take really good trades there. So yuejin already getting into a rough spot here.
Ouch, yeah, exactly. It's like you say, I think 29th is an amazing pick here because the 85s, the IS2s, but then also you have several cards of Razvedkas with bazookas. Like, you have a lot of tools there to deal with it. And I think also one of the issues that yuejin has is that he tried to do the like rush push, which you do with, a lot with third mech, but I think that the amount of infantry, like the amount of points he allocated for that was not enough. He needed less stuff elsewhere and more into that overpowering push, because now it really got killed in its tracks, and yuejin lost a lot of the momentum, which is crucial for him to be able to have a good chance in this game.
Yeah, also his M10 tank destroyers in the south don't do anything, but Redka is now pushing onto the second one. And yeah, this game is already falling apart heavily for him. This is really looking rough. Getting really horrible trades in the middle, getting nothing you can call a trade in the south, like it's only him losing stuff. Didn't kill a single tank, didn't kill a single infantry unit there, whilst losing his M10s and his MGs there. So yeah. This game, it looks already close to being over.
I agree.
Because you need that, like, really, either you need to open fire on all fronts with third US Armored in this matchup, and then like find the weak spot in the enemy's line against your Shermans, or you need to have this plop of Shermans that just is rolling on and on and on, and he couldn't build up any of that. And by now Quadro U has forces everywhere that can deal with Shermans, whilst having a formation in the south that is just not something yuejin will ever be able to deal with. At least not within the time restrictions he has.
Yeah, like we saw, it was quite an interesting pick that we saw actually a recon plane from yuejin, not something we haven't seen much at all, the F6. It managed to recon some, but as Quadro U has really managed to like halt the push, he put up two anti-air guns and cost yuejin 2 planes quite early, which really bodes bad for that area as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like, yuejin really tries to play his interesting games that we saw earlier this season, where he always often takes the enemy off guard with like his picks and like the strategy he does. But Quadro U seems to be prepared both in game number 1 and game number 2 for it, and actually kind of forces, like, already predicts what yuejin is doing, and then getting the right counter picks for it in both games, and just plays it so damn well that he lets the old guard look really old in this game here. The old guard that is yuejin, veteran of I think all war games and Steel Division Normandy 44. So the up and comer really showing his strength here in game number 1 and now also game number 2.
Yeah, I think so, and I also feel like this shows the power of the 85 has always been like a struggling tank, but I now really feel like the 44 version actually is good. With the APCR buff, being able to cycle between that AP and APCR, which both have decent pen, quite makes up a bit for the bad rate of fire for the T35 for the 85, and it really pays off here. And as you say, like, yuejin's best options to killing IS are mass bombing it with planes or a bazooka, and he's out of range for bazooka now for a good while, and it's gonna cost him way too much time and the points to be able to bomb that IS-2 out of there.
Yeah, I really love how Quadro U's zoning game in both games so far. Really getting himself good setups and killing fields, like leaving yuejin the space where he doesn't want to engage, and then always getting an engagement on his terms, on the soil he wants to fight over, and not having one bad trade in this game so far. Like, really, every engagement there was, it looks like Yu got out ahead. It's just insane.
Yeah.
Like, sure, he lost one T-34-85 in the middle and another T-34-76 and so on, but how many tanks he killed for it already is just insane. He killed the Jumbo, he killed the M10, he killed 3 Shermans, an M8. It's just so devastating here for Eugen.
Yeah, especially as we said, he really needs the momentum, because building up of AA and just more tanks makes just further deepens the divide of the quality of the showing the quality difference of the tanks here in the tank-to-tank combat.
M10 now also getting a kill onto the T-34-76, but yes, you really need the masses, and there's just no masses left for Eugen. The tank numbers are equal on both sides, and that's not something that should ever happen in this matchup.
Yeah, that's the thing is, third US, even if the enemy is using cheaper tanks, you still want to have more tanks than them, because that's really what your thing is. It's overwhelm your opponent with Shermans. That's the game for your, and having amazing infantry as the cost for having a bazooka included in an infantry is just amazing, with a lot of armored transport which are with MGs which are quite meta at the moment. Just 10 points for that help a lot in the infantry versus infantry fights.
Yeah, and including the Jumbo so early was really what spelled the doom here. The Jumbo being a bit out of position. You usually want to have the Jumbo like kind of within your other tanks, and that because it always gets automatically targeted anyway. It doesn't need to be in front of your other tanks to take the fire, because tanks always try to target the heaviest armor value of the enemy. So if part of you doesn't micromanage, his tanks will shoot on the Jumbo anyway. So it was really a bit of a misplay there by Eugen that cost him a lot by having the Jumbo far forward without the Shermans being around it. And since then he really didn't had 1 second in this game where he went forward. It was just, he got till there, he got to a 13-11 for a bit, and then Yu went in with the counter push and totally annihilated everything. Coming in now with 2 IS-2s already in the beginning of B phase in the north, because he traded so efficiently that he can't afford it without looking weak anywhere else still. And
yeah, and
this game will not go on for too long.
In the center as well, and like also just totally blunting Eugen push while actually himself taking several flags with a sudden push without much hassle at all. Really shows that he's really put his foot down and dominating this game so far.
Yeah, taking out 1 more Jumbo in the north now as well. So he has really, Yu has the plan here for the games, is really prepared for the opponent. Seems like he knew he watched the other Eugen games, knew what Eugen would most likely be playing, because 3rd Canadian and 3rd US Armored are the highest picked divisions in this season for Eugen, and Yu comes absolutely prepared in game number 2 and game number 1 and game number 2. And really, I think Eugen has to change it up for game number 3 if he wants to have a chance here, because his playstyle just doesn't seem to work out whatsoever in these games here.
Yeah, I think it's still strong. It's just that Yu is a great player and he really counterpicked. And I think it's also, like you said, interesting before, that Eugen really wants the first pick. That says a lot, that he thinks that getting first pick, you can get, there's divisions that are so strong that even as long as you can snag them before your opponent, they're going to be too strong to be even counterpicked. But when counter the point that if you want to get second player, you're saying that the game is currently there's not enough divisions that are so dominating that just picking them, they won't be able to get an efficient counter. But yeah, Yu really showed both games, like both just playing well, but also, as we said, with the picks, really being having the efficient picks, dealing with what Eugen brings to the table.
Yeah, it's also, I think, shows the mentality of yuejin that he usually isn't the guy to counterpick that much anyway. So he's like, oh yeah, I might as well just snack up the division I like to play, because he isn't the guy who's like playing reactively to the enemy. He's just like rather wanting to force it on his own playstyle onto him. So I think this option of like being able to pick first and getting then the bans in his favor, with also having the last bans, like that's how it works. Like the player who picks first also has the last 2 bans, and so you can tilt it a bit into your own way of how it all plays out. And
Yeah.
but it didn't work out here in game number 1 and game number 2 for him too well. Because, like, yeah, just quadru being too well prepared for the shenanigans that yuejin is bringing into his games. SU-57 dies on the hill. Now P-51's trying to kill off the IS-2. But yeah, it's a really, really tough spot here. And he just didn't got enough attrition. Like, if he would have gotten more attrition on quadru, if he would have killed more T-34-85s and so on, maybe forced the IS-2s into more uncomfortable positions, and then really getting his P-51s more easier onto them, then this game would look different, but it's already too long now like this. And like, yeah, Sherman 76s are nice tanks, but they don't deal with IS-2s. They can help you out in dealing with the 85s, but you also rather want to have a normal Sherman at least in front of that before doing that, and that's not quite the case just now. Loses another P-51 to AA, which is really unnecessary. And yeah, damn, this it feels like we're shit talking all the time about yuejin here, but it's just only, it's not him really playing that poorly here. It's just quadru playing the next level here and playing just that much better and on such a high level. It's really some of the best Steel Division I have seen in the last half year here from quadru.
Yeah, I agree very much. Yes, like we're giving some nitpicks for yuejin. He's still playing a good game, but there's maybe some things you could change with everyone. But yeah, quadru really plays the A game here, not leaving much up in the air at all. Really locking down every single small mistake, or even if it's not a mistake, every single chance he has, he just locks it down and really capitalized on it.
GGVP here to quadru in game number 2, being a really decisive game, both in KD and on the board. Finishing it off in 60 minutes, 48. And leaving yuejin into a really, really hard position. After losing 2 games like this, he's now against the player on match point and has to make a reverse kill now out of it, having 3 games in a row, and this will be a really, really rough spot here.
Yeah, it will be tough. Very interesting, though, quadru here in chat, sharing with us the new way to win the air meta. It's just before the enemy planes fight, you write some message to your opponent, so when they try to respond to your message, you just go straight for their and attack their planes.
Yeah, exactly. the good old StarCraft strategy of typing when you're doing the cannon rush, so the enemy doesn't scout because he's typing instead of scouting. That's always good strategy there. That's always the way to dealing with it, guys. But yeah, we will be back with what might be the last game of today in 4 minutes. I will do the push-ups beforehand, so yeah. 20 push-ups from you guys, then a break of 4 minutes, and then the next game. So here we go. My room is a mess, so I will not show it to you guys because I just came back today and I have all my stuff still all around the floor and so on. So sorry guys, but no view today. But here we go. 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and 9, and 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19, And number 20. Okay. No. Okay, here we go. So, short break, guys. 4 minutes. Till game number 3. Okay.
I still like, yes, their infantry is much better, but I still think that even Schützen are going to lose against the arm rifles, because the arm rifles is going to have a MG truck next to it, and the 78th doesn't have much, unless there's one of the few Panzervernichtungs's with the Shrek close by. Those half tracks are just going to by themselves just like deal with a lot of infantry, and in the end actually win. So that's why I think the downside is that even if the infantry isn't as bad for how expensive they are, I think the bigger one is that they just, even if they're good infantry, they lose out because of the support that they need is more important in the infantry fights than having the better infantry.
One thing though that 78 was also really good back in the early stages, where people were not as precise in their aggressive styles and so on, is that they have good artillery, and they were often in the deck on something like a Slutsk West, where you just turtled with all their heavy AT guns and their good defensive infantry in form of the Schützens, and then just played the artillery spam game. But I would be really surprised to see that here, but it would be funny to see a blast of the past coming back up here. But yeah, 78th Sturm for sure is a pick out of nowhere here, and I'm really surprised to see it. I'm really looking forward for how it plays out. I hope it is not going as like last game, and I hope we see it for more than just 16 minutes.
Yeah, and we see the Panzervernichtungs's in A. I think that all Panzerschreck is going to be extremely important because of Shermans and half-tracks, and as you only have Stugs and Marders, not having that turret really in the North Hill here, we see a lot of the fighting currently happening. In the main city as well, you really see these half-track are really doing a lot of work, and it's hard and not enough cards of things that can deal with them efficiently.
Yeah, but I think the funniest thing is really that you played a lot with this division over the last half year and was so pissed about it, and now he has to play it against it, and so far it doesn't look too bad for Eugen really. I think his playstyle so far is pretty interesting and working out pretty solidly as well. Eugen for sure always someone to bring in interesting play into the league. That's why I like him since Normandy. He doesn't play completely out of the box, but he's not the guy who just plays the absolute standard meta all the way through. He always has something catchy, like a 78th pick.
I would very much say that the 78th is almost as much out of the box you get from what the common conception has been lately in the game.
Yeah, the only more confusing pick would have maybe been a Lovash.
Yeah, exactly. But it's down there with Lovash, Tartlek. It's together with those division that really shows of the least picked, and I think that says a lot because there's a lot of division above that.
Yeah, by now we have quite a couple of divisions in this game, and it's so funny how this division fell out of favor from being the top division in the Axis side to being just completely unplayed.
Yeah,
and Eugen maybe he can bring it back in favor. Maybe with a good show here he can bring it back to favor. But yeah, so far Quadriu still is in a good spot here, so we will see how it goes.
Yeah, I very much agree. You say, he at the moment, I would say it's slightly in Quadriu's favor, on the field here. It's going better for him, but yeah, it's also as you say that there's so many divisions that haven't gotten picked that also probably are a lot better. I think one example is 26th Guard was when I started playing, they were this shit because they were just enough to miss the bans. They were often banned, but sometimes they slipped through, and those times they were just amazingly good. And even now, I feel often when I play, I can't afford to ban it, but even now when it's nowhere near as good as it used to be, it's still a great div. Alright, so I guess I'll take on why he does what he does. So off map here in the north is very well placed, that hitting everything you want to hit here. Let's see then if yuejin can follow up, because if he can, that can really be a good... He doesn't have that many units back here, like a single Bergleicher and 2 Ersatztruppen, like not squads, but actual infantry. So he doesn't have much to follow up, other than like SDKF said, hoping for maybe some surrenders, which is a bit sad, because that's an amazing off-map he's pulling off here.
Yeah, that off-map could be devastating. Sorry guys, had to shortly communicate with my roommate, who was in search of our measuring stick, but I couldn't find it either. Okay, yeah. Well, we'll search later.
Even if it was a big 210, usually is an off-map that you can actually score some kills with, but Quarter U actually managed to survive. Of course he got pinned a lot, but he managed to not take that much actual damage, and there's no follow-up from yuejin. He just needs the next. There's an off-map coming back on the other way. I think the big important here is if the Schwimmwagen survives the off-map or not, because it still has charges left.
Yeah, one more charge remaining on it, and that would be pretty devastating, losing that one, because it's really important. Also, on the same time, yuejin brings back forces in the south, but yeah, this Schwimmwagen is important now. Can the 155mm off-map kill it off, or will it survive at its spot that it's at? So far it's surviving. Last couple of shots coming in now. Ooh, close.
Ooh. It might just make it. Do that or do that? No, yeah.
Okay.
That's quite lucky. Unarmored thing in the middle of it, actually making it the entire thing.
That was really important there for yuejin.
You can really see the artillery shells where they hit, and it's like a blank hole where the Schwimmwagen is.
Yeah, absolutely. Like even a close miss can kill off something like the Schwimmwagen.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Jumbo pushing in deeper over here.
Yeah, and especially those 210. That's a big because it actually can kill a few half tracks, deal like some good damage to like a Sherman to maybe be enough for the Sherman to get one hitted by other tanks. Now we see again like this spot here from blue side where you can try to snipe the bridge, where we see a Stug Führer who have now challenged there, shooting up a M75 Sherman, which is quite good. Like if he can get there, maybe some more stuff here and like block off that path, that's gonna be a very good path for yuejin to.
But now all the tanks from the north coming in for Quadro U. Like that's 5 Shermans there coming up. There's a Flak 41. The Pak 40 went down, but there's a second Flak 41 coming up, maybe to help out. First Sherman going down, but that's a lot of tank power there for Quadro U coming around. It's really it feels like yuejin is the guy playing the tower defense game against the armored zombie hordes that are the Shermans here in this game. Oh my god! That P-51 getting sniped out of the air by the Flak 41. What the hell? The already second 2-shot kill on the fighter bomber.
Yeah, and it almost got its revenge by landing on it, pinning it by 90%, enough for these Shermans now to actually finish off the Flak 41. So even if you lost it, it might almost been worth it if you actually managed to get the final hit now on the Flak 41 before it managed to get away.
Off map now coming in onto the Shermans though, and another Flak 41 and the Martyrs trying to hold on. It's a really tense game here right now. Jumbo now engaging onto the Flak 41 though, should kill off the one in the center. Nashorn coming around. This is a tense game. Like it's really obviously yuejin on the defense with actually Vanguard. Like we have to see that Quadro U's strength will come in B phase, because for the first time today we don't have similar income Vanguard versus Vanguard, but we actually have Vanguard versus Maverick, and this will be an interesting B phase, that's for sure. Like we still have 6 minutes remaining and there's still a lot more stuff to come for Quadro U, but if yuejin can go on to C phase, he is without being in an absolutely horrible spot, it might get quite interesting here.
Yeah, and I think that one thing we missed is that Quadro U, now the Schutzen really gets to use the anti-tank grenades, but if he had some infantry moving in that, not on the main road, but on the side road here instead, moving up, challenging the Schutzen and having the the half tracks moving like around the city instead, I think that would have been like a way how Quarter U really could have like moved up in the city here. So I think this push is a bit overdue, but let's see here if he managed to push back here.
Yeah, in the south, Eugen now in quite a comfortable spot with his 2 Stokes and quite a couple of Ersatztruppen. But it's really about how the town fight goes over the next 5 to 7 minutes. Like, Eugen holding on against the superior income that is Eugen's Maverick, Quarter U's Maverick. It will be really interesting because there's just so many Shermans, and the first Nashorn went down. 2 Malers are there. 1 Nashorn is now up in the north, together with 2 more Stooks and another Nashorn coming in to reinforce. So, like, really, the amount of Nashorns is surprising for me. It doesn't feel like that good of a tank. Like, for 90 points.
It's to have something against the Jumbo, is my guess. But now we see some coming up on the southern, like in the middle of the field, like 2 Stokes and a Nashorn. Because now losing that M3, there's nothing up here that's holding the middle for Quarter U. And I think that is, as we see now, the front line is going to tell a very revealing tale that this Quarter U is quite naked in the middle. And there is already 3 Stooks quite close here. So, and if you move up, you first have the road down where the Stooks are now to get some shots into the city. And if you move up even further to the next road where you just do that, then you can really straight up cut off the reinforcement into the city. So I think what really Yuejin needs to do here is he needs to send some income to take the free flags that he's getting in the middle and use these Stokes and Nashorn to try to get some shots either down here to the M4 105, but then also move up more to the even further up. As you can see, there's nothing holding here, which you should see from the front line, to be able to snipe the reinforcements both to the hill and the city from there.
Is
that would be quite a big
Jumbo
move,
seeing the Nashorn? Yeah, it's seeing the Nashorn. Nashorn somehow doesn't align its shot. What the hell is wrong with this Nashorn on the hill? Oh my god. What is the Nashorn doing? I don't get it. This is really bad. Oh my god. What is wrong with the Nashorn there?
Like it's a tree in the way that it can't realign enough to... That was really weird.
That was really weird for sure.
So Nashorn were bad, and the not just the Nashorn, the fucking crew is incompetent as well.
Yeah, Panzerschreck getting revenge onto the Sherman though. And it's a 12-12, which is good for Eugen, but the question is, can he hold on the line where he is right now for long enough to make it a defensive play here?
Yeah, I think yeah, exactly. Like, it's a 12-12 and we're 7 minutes through B phase, which is quite a lot, very good. But I really feel he's missing, he has 4 Stugs and a Nashorn here in the middle and 2 MGs, like, and a Blig Light Pioneer. He really needs to send, like, he should have had 1 MG move up with like most of these tanks, maybe leave a single Stug. Now they're moving up, but they're moving to the wrong place. If they move up further up, they can really cut off the reinforcements.
Well, I think he wants to engage the whole, envelop the whole middle section, and then engage with his Stuk and his Nashorn there as well, to really just like kill off the armored spearhead of Quarter U, instead of just cutting it off the reinforcements, because cutting off the reinforcements doesn't help you if you're already heavily under pressure on the front line, because the enemy already has enough there. I think it's the right decision to kill off the forces at the front line more than going for a couple of points that don't help you in the long run, and like killing off maybe a couple of infantry units as reinforcements. Like,
but
sure, it's the...
You have enough time to do both, I feel, here.
Well, I think with the Stuks on the long-range engagements, together with the Nashorn against the Jumbos, it should be pretty... he should be pretty fine here. There's no Sherman 76s, so the Stuks tank really well here, and the Nashorn can join in and doesn't get focus fired because the Stuks have more frontal armor. So yeah, that should be a pretty decent engagement here, especially with the Stuk leader now coming in, providing 2-star veterancy. The Stuks could do better focus fire as well, instead of focusing Jumbos going for the Shermans, but leaving the Jumbo for the Nashorn. But yeah, overall it's a pretty decent engagement here so far for Eugen, though both sides not really getting any kills.
Yeah, I feel like both sides are getting some bad, like, target priority at most. And now the Nashorn going down.
Yeah, and the Stuks focusing the Jumbo is really the bad thing here of this whole engagement.
Yeah,
Now
and
the
he
Stugs going down. Oh
unloaded his
boy,
pack.
this is...
Yeah, and the packs are loaded just a bit too early as well, leaving the 2 Stugs to fend for themselves against too many enemies.
Pack 40 now here, engaging onto the Jumbo. Who now can do the job somehow, like with its APCR shell, with the APCR shell buff, but it's still not amazing at it. This is a really interesting matchup. Ooh,
Yeah,
Nashorn.
at least he's pulling focus from Quarter U away from pushing the city and like focusing at the middle. But now Eugen lost the chance of taking like 3 flags in the middle, like putting pressure elsewhere. And as we said earlier, the northern hill has been squarely seized by Quarter U, which is very, very hard to retake.
Eugen somehow managed to get an Ersatztruppen into the south, though, with holding a really awkward cone of front there, like getting it back to a 12 that way, 12 back that way. And now we are in C phase, so now he has the better income. He just now has to keep up the trading, and he should get out ahead of this game, especially with him having way more infantry in the long run. So this will be this might get real long and real interesting here.
Yeah, I think it's not if he's gonna run out of infantry. Is he gonna run out of like AT guns and Stugs before while there's still a Shermans in play? I think is what is gonna decide the long run game.
Yeah, that's the issue for Eugen, and for Quattro U is, does he run out of infantry before he can kill off all the AT guns and goes blind afterwards? Because
exactly, because this third US goes out of Shermans, then like you've lost. Even if you have infantry or like everything else left, you know, like there's very, very rare that you're actually going to do any comebacks in that sense. But so it's all about like, can your Sherman army in the long game outlast enemy tanks and AT guns, pretty much. Like,
yeah, but there's a lot of AT guns in 78. I think it's one of the divisions with the most AT slots.
Yeah, that is very true. Yes. The question though is, hope he hasn't taken too many Nashorns instead of actual pack guns.
Yeah, pack guns and Martyrs. Like Martyrs are really good in this matchup. Overall,
yeah.
only against Jumbos they struggle a bit, obviously, but against everything else they're really amazing.
Exactly. No, but with the APCR nerf, they're actually not too bad against Jumbos because that APCR is 190 pen. Like, as long as you're not max range, you're going to get some damage into that Jumbo.
Yeah, but so far the Jumbos most of the time engaged on max range. Like, yeah, the overall losses on Jumbos is pretty light so far. He still has 2 left in the middle, and I think he lost 2 or 3 so far, so he should have still like 2 or 3 more left. And
yeah, he has 2 on the field and probably more coming. And he lost all of the tanks now, Eugen, up here in the hill, which I think hurts a lot. Like, they didn't really do their job at all, I feel.
yeah, it's an awkward spot here for Eugen right now. Flag 41 coming up.
Like, having this side shot into the city while actually having the city, he should have maybe tried to get some shot from the front as well, so things can just face the hill.
Nashorn killing off another Sherman.
It's a long-range engagement, which he wants, but it still just isn't working out for him. And he almost about to lose another Nashorn here in the hill, but he managed to just sneak out away before that happens.
Yeah, it also got a kill onto a Sherman beforehand, so it got its job done before retreating there. Flag 41 coming up. The air's play of Eugen is also pretty nice. Like, he takes out all the infantry whenever Quattro U is pushing, so Quattro U pushes in blind afterwards and is forced to take awkward engagements with that. Like, Quattro U at least has his half-tracks left afterwards most of the time, so he can keep them in front of his Shermans. He doesn't have to face-check buildings with his Shermans, but it still slows down his pushes by quite a bit, thanks to the strafing with the fighters of Eugen.
Yeah, and this new off-map we come up can be quite deciding, because if Quattro U manage to push out Eugen from the city, and Eugen doesn't manage to get it straight back, I think it's going to be very, very hard to survive the long game, having lost both the hill here and the city.
Yeah, the Stugs from the side now, together with the Nashorn and the Pack 40 for sure have to show up, and maybe try to catch Quattro U whilst on the move, but so far they don't do that, and this might get rough. Okay, he kills the 76 on the hill with the Flak 41. Flak 40 sadly out of position, so the Flak 41 has to fall back. Another two Flak 40s coming up. Like really, the AT gun numbers start to show up here for Eugen, but you can't take territory with AT guns. You only can defend it. So this is really a key moment of the game now with the off map coming in on all these Schützen.
And here we see again like Eugen's Stugs are attacking the Jumbo instead of... Oh, he at least gets one. But now he's getting flanked by M8s here on the Stugs.
Ooh, Nashorn getting taken out as well. Is ME109 in the south. Killed off another AT gun. Like, he might be able to push the south, at least buy a lot of time with that. In a couple of... Like, in the next couple of ticks. He kills off a lot of half-tracks. All the half-tracks are dead, so it looks like he can hold on to the town, actually, maybe. Will lose the Stuck, though, to the armored rifles with the bazooka. But the off-map didn't do as much, I think, as Quadriu hoped. Still was doing okay, but M8s also took some casualties on the hills without killing off the Stucks. So the flank is still happening onto the town from Eugen. And more Pak 40s show up, more Panzer tracks coming up. Maybe a bit of more infantry is needed right now for Eugen in the town. But he's doing overall a really solid job in this game. It's really an interesting play style here. And I think he does a good game for like the way you have to play 78. In that defensive play style, like enveloping the enemy with and trying to take out the tanks whenever he can.
Yeah, I think also Quadriu was just slightly too slow to push in the city after because the Schützen just managed to get their like lose a lot of their pin before the infantry moves up, and now we should see the power of the Schützen here. Almost as they're fully pinned, they're still totally decimating the arm rifles trying to move in, while some Panzer Schreck managed to come in just in time to scare off the half-track, because the half-track would have turned that fight, but the Shreks is really what keeps them at bay.
Schützen still gets surrounded in the end, but yeah, that was a lot of armored rifles dying in that fight. Off-map tank gets sniped off by the Stuks, but another Jumbo shows up now for Quadriu, and the Jumbos are really what keeps his push alive, but that's the last Jumbo. That's the last of its kind. All the other Jumbos fell, so Eugen is putting a dent in. Okay, so another Jumbo shows up, but that might be the last two Jumbos remaining in Quadriu's arsenal, so he has to make them work. He's only up to 1311. His south is super vulnerable at the moment. Like, the Stuk alone could take it in the south, so he has to make it work in the north, and Eugen might be able to hold on to it.
Yeah, it's very much now... I'm surprised that he doesn't take the Pak 88 instead of the so many Nashorns, but yeah, like they have. I feel the Nashorns have really been, even with the buff this game, they haven't been performing well at all. Let's see now if Eugen can manage to get into the city before he loses the last two buildings he's still controlling of it.
Well, he got the flag in the south, so it's back to a 12-12, so timer's off. So we might be in for a long run, guys. We might be in for a really long run here. Stuk on the hill both die in the same shot, though. What the hell was that? Like, they both died in the exactly same second.
Yeah,
M8 gets killed off as well. It's a 13-11 for Eugen. First time in this game getting a tick on Quadriu. But at least Quadriu gets the kill onto the units on the hill. Kills off the Stuk, kills off the Pak 40.
Yeah, it just shows how amazing the Shermans are, because they're meeting Stugs at long range, where exactly the Stugs should be the one time they're actually better. But the Shermans,
that's not quite true. Like, the Stuks did a lot of work, but I mean, they fired a lot of shots into Jumbos as well, but after all, they killed all the Jumbos in the end. And these two Stuks did a lot of work. I think they just died to attrition in the long run, but they killed a lot of M8, they killed quite a couple of Shermans. And yeah, I mean, the combo of Jumbo and 76 is strong, but that's not basic Shermans there. That's 76 behind the Jumbo. And with Stuks not being microed, that combo wins against two Stuks. But it's also more expensive than Stuks. And now we have the Stuk push in the south, and there's not much to stop that. Like one Sherman 75mm coming in, one base Sherman coming in there against 3 Stooks. That's not stopping a Stook push. 2 half-tracks certainly don't. So
I've also seen very little air on both sides on this game, actually.
yeah, the only thing we saw is yuejin really with some strafing runs. Both divisions also ain't that great in the air tab anyways. Like, all you see usually from third is maybe some Mustang fighter bombers, but those are expensive, and especially now in C-phase you can't really afford them for 80 points, with 80 points per minute.
Yeah.
Like that's 2 minutes of income basically for one plane.
Yeah.
That's
It's
too much of an
amazing thing,
investment.
but yeah, you're saying it's quite. And now actually it seems like Quarter might be able to take the middle back after there's no tanks anymore here. There's just a single pack 40 that stops things from moving up, but that Jumbo should be able to just peek up and slowly maybe take it out. But it's close enough to get some APCR damage onto the Jumbo though, so it's not free reign.
Yeah. Also in the north, the Flak 41s, together with the ME109, killing off an M1 gun. And also the Flak 41, Pak 40, and Stook keeping the other tanks at bay. So Jumbo now coming in, but the infantry fight goes in Eugen's favor again, coming up with quite a couple of Shipson. So it's back to a 12-12. And the push in the south looks really, really dangerous for Quadri. This could be quite devastating. And both sides, yeah, might start to run out of certain things in the next couple of minutes. Will be really interesting.
Yeah, even like you said, Eugen had a huge AT tab. Hope he has a lot of Pack 40 cars in C, because he's brought in a lot of Pack 40s, and a lot of them have died. But I think there's still a lot of Shermans left for Quadri U. The question is how much more in the AT tab do we have for Eugen? He's bringing in another 88 now in the south, which is good because it's another anti-tank gun, pretty much.
Yeah, also what might be... Oh, okay, so... One Stock falls to an M1 gun in the south. Now this Sherman coming up there dealing with the Schützen. M1 gun falling back. Interesting fights in the south. Quadri trying to get the best out of it. Dealing with the Schützen.
Yeah, Quadri really got the best out of that engagement. Just short of taking the flag back, though.
And one gun, though, continues to stay under fire from the Stook from now on out. More Shermans in the north for Quadri. What is interesting, if they run out of stuff on the ground, will they go into the skies and, like, maybe will we have an air war after all? I tried to remember, is there any AT planes? No, there aren't any AT planes in 78, are there, right? There's no HS-129 or something. Trying to remember. There might be.
I wouldn't be surprised if they actually have an HS-129. I'm not sure at the top of my head.
It's so long since we have seen them. And like airplay was never on one of their fortes anyway, so it's like it's so hard to remember. Does anyone in the chat know maybe? Can anyone tell us what 78 has in its air tab? I know it's not too overwhelming, but okay. Tiger says they don't have any AT planes, so
yeah. And in the meantime, in the middle now, actually, that half track should have peaked with the airsats, and the Stug should have killed that, and he should have had that flag for a while, I think. But now it's too late, as a Jumbo and a upgunned Sherman comes up and takes out that Stug. A very important Panzerschreck is moving up now to defend the southern flag that Eugen has captured.
Yeah. Meanwhile, he still bites his teeth into the Jumbo in the north, but not achieving too much there. Getting the transmission damage, but that's basically it. And more Shermans show up for Quadri again. 1 per minute is what he can afford. A bit more. Like, this is an awkward game.
Yeah, that's quite awkward for Quadri though, is that if you have 80 points, like, 3rd US don't have anything that's cheap. Pretty much, like even your infantry, your tank, everything is going to cost. So you can pretty much bring in one thing per tick at the moment.
Yeah, he finally gets a kill though onto the Flak 88 in the north. Like, this is a really awkward game. 13-11 now for Eugen, who takes the flag in the south for a second. Will lose it though.
That was just 2 minutes. Like, if that Schützen had gone into the building like 0.1 second earlier, he would have held that flag and killed that flamethrower. And the Sheriff wouldn't be able to do anything about it because he wouldn't be able to run up to the Schützen.
Well, now the Sherman shows side armor. That was a bad move there by Quadrille, moving his Sherman out. Giving up the flag, both flags in the south, will actually give it a 14-10 for Eugen. And
yeah, if the Ersatz trooper moves a bit and gets some front line, he should be able to take the city flag as well.
yeah, the Schützen moving to forward it. But the question is what happens in the north. Because there's quite a lot of Shermans and the Jumbo still takes so much fire from Eugen. It's a bit sad to see him with so little focus fire, it feels like. A bit more focus fire and Eugen would have traded way better. Focus fire also a bit lagging on the side of Quadrille, but it's way more important from Eugen to have it. Another flag 41 coming up.
The downside here is if those Schützen go into the city, there's only a Shrek protecting that flag. So, like, and the Shrek doesn't give front line, right? So that's a risky cutoff point for Eugen, I feel.
Yeah.
He needs to take that flag, but yeah, he has one more Schütze moving in there, but he needs some other AT than a Shrek, only a Shrek to defend that area. Because just
I think the Pack 40 on the hill though is enough, but
oh yeah, that is true. Sorry, yeah, exactly, that's very true.
Like the question is, what will the Jumbo and the 76 do? Will they try to get behind the Stuk, like go up the hill? Like they with 2 Shermans coming up, if they time it right together with the Stuk, they could do a lot. But if they just drive in and before the Jumbo and 76 can get into any good position, they will just die in this engagement here. And it looks like dying it is. Though at least they could take out the APCR shells from the Pack 40. Pack 40 now firing its last APCR shell. So the Jumbo should be safe afterwards to engage.
Yeah. And while that 75 paid, it survived, but it paid with most of its all of its health almost.
Yeah. In the north, infantry squad gets killed off by a Stuk. Like every unit you can get killed here now really matters. And Eugen gets ready for the real long game. The first 150mm artillery piece hits the front line.
And this flak also on the defensive side in the middle is quite important. Like yesterday you said, if those tanks move around behind, this flak is the tool Eugen needs to stop that from happening.
Ooh. Schützen sadly a bit out of range for using an AT grenade onto the halfback, but they will absolutely annihilate the armored rifles trying to move in there. They're going down to 2 men before they even get into the forest. Like on 50 meters walking, they lost 8 men. This was insanity there. Oh my god.
More like 20 for even that.
That kind of reminded me of like Fallschirmjägers in Steel Division Normandy 44, where you like you put them on return fire till the enemy is in like 150-meter range, and then you let them fire, and on the last 50 meters walking, the enemy just gets completely annihilated. That really was that feeling. I hope we get that feeling back with a good, hopefully first Fallschirmjäger being a good Fallschirmjäger division. Sadly, 3rd FJ at the moment is not quite on par with what it was in Steel Division Normandy, but first Fallschirmjäger looks really promising, so we will see at the 28th of January when that hits the ground if first Fallschirmjäger will give the Fallschirmjäger fans out there another.
Ooh, the flak, yeah, the flak 88 was moved around, so now there's, but those Jumbos coming around the corner. This is a bit scary. That's too close because the extra damage A takes from tanks, even if the flak 88 is quite
well,
good
the Panzerschreck could move up though. Like the Panzerschreck and the Schützen are too scary for the Jumbo right now, I think. You can't just move up because then the Schützen and the Panzerschreck could run onto you. Like, it's dangerous. Whoa! There's still a Jumbo left for Quadrille. He brings in another one in the south, and this is really important. Having 2 Jumbos here makes this situation really hard to figure out for Eugen.
And here we also see now in the city in the very south that how good the half track is, because even if your arm rifle is nowhere near beating a Schützen, just having that half track just constantly shooting out of range from the grenade, it really upsets the power balance between the infantry.
And Eugen now trying to kill off tanks with his 150mm artillery, which I think is a good idea for this late in the game, trying to hit onto the jumbo, but Quadriu has an eye on it, microing his jumbo out of there.
Yeah.
And Eugen realizes this as well.
Yeah, a radio leader comes up, that those 150-meter really can deal some good damage even to tanks.
14-10 here for Eugen. Battery leader could do a lot.
In the south, though. The Stug 3 and the Flak 88 is really it's not that he doesn't have anything, but it's really, I feel like one misstep and this and his bottom line could quite fall apart.
Yeah, the two jumbos in the south are now really, really dangerous. Another Sherman there coming up as well. Two battery throwers coming up. It kind of looks like Eugen is starting to run out of stuff here. He might be out of AT weaponry. And this is
I think it's
scary.
out of everything. He's bringing in Flak 43s instead of infantry. Like, we haven't barely seen any air, right? So that sounds very much like out of everything.
Yeah, maybe he wants to use bombers though, and that's why he brings in the Flak 43. Like, maybe that's his idea of like making it like dealing with the tanks now. And the bombers, I think, are Ju-88s with shitty availability, as Quadriu points out. And you don't want to lose that. Like, I think you have 1,000 kilogram Ju-88s. Like, oh man, I have no clue what actually is in 78th Air Tab, but it feels like it is a deck with Ju-88s. And protecting those is important.
I think it is correct. At the same time also, the Stug in the south is a costly loss, and now he's probably, I think the other one coming up the corner here is getting... You don't want to fight there because there's a jumbo and another upgunned one.
You should move the Pak 40 in the center around the house to the south, so it can also fire onto that ridge and maybe get some side shots. Also, the Schützen obviously should move in now as well and maybe try to get an AT grenade from the back onto it. Like, I think he has enough firepower actually to kill the jumbo into 76 because he's all around it, but question is, will he get them into position in time? And it doesn't look like it. The Stug's now engaging, and this is a bad situation to engage here. It gets a penetration onto the jumbo, I think, but now it gets killed off, and this is a really horrible position. Now the Flak 43 is open. Schützen now coming up, but it's a bit too far in the open. Will it get caught out in time, though?
But they aren't facing it, so it might do it.
Well, they're moving forward, though. Pak 40 still not coming around is the biggest mistake here by Eugen. He could really... This Pak 40 really could do the job. Gets the kill onto the 76 with his Flak 43.
Huge miss. The Panzerschreck in the forest misses the jumbo with the rocket.
Oh no.
Is that a very small chance? And that is a big one.
Oh, that's a big one, yeah. 3 shots in the south holding the line, but yeah, it looks like Mr. Eugen is running out of anti-tanks, so he's really down to artillery and maybe planes to doing the job.
Yeah, and I also agree with the DM in chat as well. Like, 10 points for the half tracks right now are extremely good in with the buffs since MG's got their buff. And I think
Schützen getting killed off by the jumbo. Flak 41 has to be careful, but the Pak 40 not coming around really is the big mess up here by Eugen. That Pak 40 could have devastated the 76 and the jumbo together with the Stug. Like, you could have gotten easily some side shots in. Bad timing there by Eugen. And really a missed opportunity.
Flak 41 has really moved in a way, so it's just been outside of the jumbo vision all this time.
But yeah, the Pak 40 now coming from behind would have been so amazing. Especially as this jumbo is already half dead. And then, yeah,
and the 150 howitzers have not done anything. They haven't really hit anything so far, so they haven't really been able to get their points back at all.
Okay. Jumbo getting hit. But dealing with flag 41. As the other Jumbo also comes around to deal with it. And this is... looks like this is getting close to the end here now. If he doesn't just bring in... Maybe he can... Oh my god. The 150mm not getting the kill there is also sad. I think it is now nearly dead. But the Jumbo is moving out of there. And not having any plans of dealing with that at all is kind of shitty.
Yeah, it seems like he doesn't have any. He just has fighter. We don't see like any bomber plane now. Pretty much could use it.
Okay, he can get the surrender on one Jumbo though. What's surprised that can fighters now strafe tanks again? Did they change that again?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That's the thing, is that it wasn't actually an intentional change at the first time.
Oh wow.
In the latest patch, I don't know. You in Strike Team maybe know something else, but it says in the later patch fixed the bug where certain planes couldn't strafe certain armored targets.
Maybe they tested with it and didn't left it in. Yeah, don't know.
Yeah, but
because it looked intentional. Because
last patch notes that changed it said it was a bug, or referred to it as a bug.
Yeah, I guess it was a test that wasn't taken out of the live version. Because it looked intentional with like the limit being 15mm. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that very much makes sense.
But, okay, so then he could have strafed the Jumbos way earlier already with his ME-109s. Well, he does it now.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have anything to follow it up with anymore. He's out of AT guns. He has 3 Pak-40s left on the map. And that's it.
Yeah, both players are running with not much now, I feel.
Oh my god. It looks like Eugen also only figured it out whilst he played that game, that he could actually strafe them again. Because I think otherwise he would have done it earlier already. There were a couple of scenarios where it would have been really favorable for him to strafe tanks with these ME-109s.
Yeah, I'm surprised that there's like 4 men of arm rifle, a half track, and a single Sherman really holding the city in the north part, not the hill but the city part. Like, if he could sneak some infantry around, not getting shot from the Jumbo up there, he should be able to maybe take this area back. But there are more tanks coming up to reinforce that area now.
When the ME-109 in itself now has to be really careful as the M15 comes out, and that can kill an ME-109, especially one already having dark smoke behind it. Yeah, so Eugen has to get his fighters out here now, and the Jumbo is still alive and fine. And yeah, this is...
I think it looks very green for Judy, seeing how we're still seeing Shermans coming off the track of Quarter U, but what we see being reinforced from Eugen really feels like scraps. Not what he wants, but rather what is left. Yeah. While Quarter U still actually managed to put in units that are still gonna be efficient with dealing with stuff.
Absolutely. 150mm mortars now engaging onto the south. They have 150mm artillery, but not doing much there either. The Pak-40 now trying to engage into the center onto the Sherman 76.
And here we see again in the city now, like the arm rifles get killed in an instant almost from the Schützen, but the half-track by themselves, as long as they don't get grenaded, can just keep off any number of infantry almost.
Yeah, like the 3 Schützen in the south getting stuck there is also really sad for Eugen. They're not holding on to the front line anymore.
Exactly, like the 3 Schützen, like the 2 half-track totally stops them dead in the tracks.
Yeah, not having any bombers really is a bummer right now for Eugen. Like, getting some Flak 43s together with the ME-109s and then some bombers would be really, really helpful to maybe win it in the long run.
Quite surprised as the third guard, they don't have too much AA, and that AA they do have doesn't last too long, so bombers would been something. But yeah, Quarter U does have, even not that many, but he does have bombers, and when both players start running out of things, being the one with bombers while the other one doesn't is a huge difference. Yeah. if you're like already if it's 50-50, like who's winning, then that becomes a huge boon. But when you're already ahead and have those bombers, it's really tough. I'm surprised we didn't see more of that we saw the Flak 43, even though they're amazing. I feel like you just want as many Flak 88s as possible, just because you don't bother that much by air. You bother about the Shermans.
Jumbo is disengaging in the south. The Schützen might be able to get the surrender on it though if the MV-109s come in for another strafing run. Question is, will the Jumbo get a kill onto the Schützen beforehand, or at least force the unload? But otherwise, the Schützen are on the way. Oh no, the own artillery! The own artillery is the backstabber here, forcing the unload. Oh, this is so sad.
I don't think he would made it anyway because it's just started firing as that shell hit.
Yeah. Well, the other Schützen from behind are now trying to do the job. Yeah, but
he's been cut off there with those
5 more Schützen coming in the south. Can he do the job of strafing all the tanks and then getting the south and then winning the game that way? That would be quite insane.
Yeah, does the ME-109 have enough 20mm bullets to keep the Jumbo? But ooh, that other Sherman is really going to be crucial.
Yeah, he needed to focus that other Sherman first. This is unlucky.
It really shows how big machine guns are now. It took half a second for that Sherman to totally pin the Schützen.
Well, it was a 105mm howitzer shell that actually did the penetration.
Oh right, it's the howitzer version. Yeah, but yes.
But yeah, 50 cals for sure are pretty good now in spinning down infantry. That's given
Schützen.
as well.
I would be careful with those Schützen. You want to keep some maybe to at least hold there, because
well, he brings in 4 more in the south, so I think it's fine to try to get the Jumbo while there's a chance of getting it. Ooh, the Jumbo's stopping, so now he can actually get the AT grenade on it. That's actually lucky for him, otherwise he might have gotten out of range. But now the Schützen... Oh no, they cannot fire while moving. They need to stop. Eugen! Whew. He gets the kill. 13-11 for Eugen now in the south, getting the Schützen in there. But, oh no, the P-51's coming in with the revenge kills. Oh no.
He can't lose these.
Oh no, this is devastating. Losing all the MV-109s, that was his way back, because now he doesn't have anything against tanks.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And at the same time, Quarter U has taken quite a solid hold in the city, with just a battery Fuhrer and a single-man Schützen holding that flag. And I think that's just a question of time before Quarter U just seizes that city.
Well, he doesn't have any infantry left. He doesn't have any recon left anymore, so he can't really push in there as long as there is infantry with AT grenades. So I don't know. Maybe he can't take that city.
I think. Oh, now artillery commanders are coming. So yeah, it seems like Quarter U might also be out of infantry.
Yeah. Oh, but losing these planes was the GG here for Eugen. Oh,
I feel so. Yeah.
Losing all 3 of them is just devastating. Like, Quadru should be able to take it now if he's careful and, like, not loses all his infantry and half tracks. He should just be methodical about it. I mean, he has still 22 minutes time to figure it out, and he should be able to do so.
Yeah, and as we can see now, he's taking the middle as well for free, because there's no AT capabilities here, and his like those half track are just gonna be able to.
Yeah, the only thing that can kill tanks at the moment is the 150mm, or like Schützen, but Schützen only in CQC scenarios. So
yeah,
like really, it's and for 2 150mm artillery pieces to kill off that many units on the battlefield, it will take a while. I'm not gonna lie, that will take a while. Flak 43 at least should be able to deal with the half track, but anything bigger than that will be an issue.
Anything bigger than that, or more than like 1 or 2 at a time, is also even gonna be too much for the half track. Just look how long it takes to deal with the single half track.
Yeah, but there's a single Flak 43 as well coming up though. So, but yeah, this Sherman is the issue. Like, he doesn't have a real good response to the Sherman. Ooh, the artillery commander in the south nearly got itself AT grenaded from the Schützen. That would have been devastating.
Why are they reloading? Did they miss?
Yeah, I think they oh yeah, they might have missed. Yeah,
Yeah,
might
they
have missed
missed.
it.
Missing both the artillery grenade, the anti-tank grenade, and that earlier
Panzerschreck, yeah. Onto the
Panzerschreck.
jumbo.
That they both hurt bad.
Yeah,
This is
that
not
were
a
two important misses in this game here. In favor of Quadryu. Eugen still on a 13-11, but yeah, he only has storm ships on the left, it looks like. Not having any planes here is really, really bad. And it looks like that those 150mm are his only artillery as well, like he don't have any more of these, so...
Yeah, it's probably a B-face card where you get 2 of them,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah, and I don't think he would be even able to kill all this stuff before running out of ammunition tracks. Like that's on the
even
field
if you
right
have
now.
the 4 from B, I don't think so, no. And yeah, the middle is about to be taken, and yeah, there's not much holding. There's a single, like, 2 Sturmschützen holding the northern town.
12-12 now for Quadryu.
But ooh, it seems like the south, if that gets surrounded, then it's going to be not even a question left about
Oh,
this.
another ME-109 coming up, but there's a P-51 out as well.
You don't wanna go the head on there. You don't have the.
Well, he takes it out in the last second. He has the Flak 43 in the back, so in the air engagement.
he's
But
flying
there's
over
also an
M15.
M15. Oh no! Yeah, I forgot about the M15. Oof. And the Flak 43 is in a shitty spot as well, so the ME-109 actually goes down as well. And that might have been the last one of these. Ooh, this is it. This is it. He gets the P-51 as well, but
In the south, will the Sturmschützen kill the... No, it was spotted. The Panzerfaust, as usual, doesn't align, aim, and fire in time for someone to react.
he doesn't have any smokes or so to help out either. Yeah, like mortars to maybe get his infantry to push into something could be nice as well, but he doesn't have that either, so yeah. It's now Quadryu with the air superiority and with Eugen without any AT capabilities longer than 150 meters. It's just a matter of time here now for Quadryu to take the game number 3 and with that, the whole series.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a lot of Flak 43 coming in. It's really like the last units he has, I feel. And it's like we said earlier, like if Eugene run out, even if he has such a long AT tab, if he runs out of AT before there's no Shermans left, then he's pretty screwed. And that's what it looks like we're seeing at this very moment.
Yeah. It looks pretty dicey here for Eugen, not gonna lie. More flags coming up, but yeah, those don't kill. Like, flag feelings maybe would kill stuff, but he doesn't have those.
Yeah.
He has another G6, but why didn't he wait for that one? Why did he only got in with one? That was a big mistake. Oh boy. Yeah, what a dicey situation here for Mr. Eugen. What a dicey situation. Sturmschützen in the south take too long to align. Oh no, this time they got off and they got a kill on the 76. Smoke here coming in now.
Oh, he hits himself with the smoke. Oh yeah, the smokes helps at least to hold off. And he managed, hopefully then maybe to cut off the enemy instead of being cut off them, himself.
Yeah, but oh man. Like, what an attritional warfare here. And like really, like, if he would have kept his ME-109 fleet alive, or at least got a better trade out of that situation against the fighter, the fighter bomber P-51s, and like maybe keep one alive and shooting down like trade 2-2, then this game still would be pretty close, I think. But as it is right now, I just can't see it. Like, I want to see it, but I just can't see it right now for the 78. Ooh! Oh, I haven't seen that one before. We have another tank coming in for Eugen. The last tank in his deck, I would guess. Being a lovely, lovely Befehlspanzer too. This thing is so damn cute. This thing is so damn cute here. 110 points. It might be the last card in Eugen's deck as well. Like, coming in at the point where it is right now. This might be the last unit in his deck.
Very likely.
I wouldn't be too surprised.
Seeing how it's a Vanguard after all.
Yeah. Well, there's still at least some Bofors left in quite a few decks. Well, I think a couple of 20mm should be around there as well for Eugen. Wait, that can't be the reloaded ME109 yet, so he has at least 2 left. Huh. If he has 3 left, like, if he has a B and a C face card of ME109s, and then that's 9, then maybe, at a 12-12, with 4 of them, he can strafe them long enough to maybe do stuff, but...
Yeah, I doubt that. That's now pretty much, as you said, there's Boforces coming out now, because there's not much else I'm bringing. And even the Boforces come with M3 A1s. So
well, and quite a few really seems to hate onto the M1 and onto the Befehlspanzer, because he brings out an M1 gun when that's the only vehicle left on the field. So yeah, both sides are really scrapping the barrel, but what's on the field for sure favors Quad Ryu. Flag 43 is now trying to kill off a Sherman. That's...
Yeah, that M1 gun right now is just an very expensive M3 half-track.
Oh yeah, it comes in a half-track, yeah, it's a really expensive one, that's for
His
sure.
entire deck, the Bofors comes with a half-track, the M1 comes in a half-track, everything's coming in a half-track. Those 10 points are very well spent.
Befehlspanzer 2 now moving forward. Artillery pushing in the middle. Eugen might go up for 1311 here once more. 20mm together with the ME109. And so on.
Yeah, but there's
putting on the pressure in the middle. If he can kill these units off, maybe, like, pull off the half-track and maybe, like, even get the kills onto the Shermans at some point with his 37mm. By keeping them pinned for long enough. Maybe, but there's still a Sherman in the backline, and that's what's worrying me, because that can kill the Befehlspanzer, and... yeah, 1311 for Eugen, but...
But that's also, like... Eugen even has... He's still scraping... There's some scraps left in his barrel of the flak 20s coming in. I'm quite surprised that he uses them at all, instead of just more flak 88s or... in this matchup. Like, he has the flak 43s if he wants something smaller.
Bekleit Craniers and Bekleit Pioneers coming in itself. Obviously, those you don't want to have earlier on because they don't have AT capabilities. Yeah. There was a days when Bekleit Pioneers were the most insane unit in the game. And everyone was like, oh my god, how do you even deal with them? In the early days of Steel Division 2, but these days are long over. Turns out, sending anything else in but infantry is pretty good against them. And since the...
Or just sending in 2 infantry instead of...
well, back in the day with MP44 still being as strong as they were, even sending in 2 infantry wasn't enough, especially if you run into the TNT grenade and that pins down both of your infantry squads. But yeah, sending in anything but infantry is pretty cost efficient against those guys. Like mortaring them, or especially sending in a Sherman. And now we have the Aufklärers.
And now MG Aufklärers coming in.
That's never a good sign at the 1 minute 20 mark.
No. And double Opel Blitz ammunition. It says there's literally nothing left. I'm just gonna buy all my Opel Blitz. I think that, yeah, Eugen is probably regretting some of his deck building decisions now. Not having more of certain things and getting certain other things that he's just sending in now.
Yeah,
but yeah,
like not having a bomber, for example. Like any bomber card would have been so helpful in this game by now.
Yeah, or just another flak 88 card. Would have been like 4 flak 88s, right? Instead of these, like, what is it, like 6 flak 20s.
Well, I don't know if we have any more cards.
There will be 4 flak 20s.
It might have been not. He might not have any more cards. I for sure will have a look onto his deck after this game. Let's copy the deck code already.
Oh, is he gonna lose the Southern Infantry before he gets to unload? It looks... Yeah, he needs to be careful. Heat rounds incoming. Yeah. Ooh, miss.
This is an absolutely insane kind of game. 1 hour, 3 minutes now. Schützen getting annihilated in the forest, P-51 putting the bomb onto it.
Yeah, having those bombers left really shows that. And now the Aufklärer try to rush the M4A3.
Yeah. Schützen and Sturmschützen coming from the side, trying to get onto the Sherman. Running into a Flammenwerfer though, which is not too nice for them. Well, they actually take out the Flammenwerfers. Might be able to even take out the Sherman. No, Sherman moves.
I think Quarter-U sees it. Oh no, he's not moving away.
No, he's just turning around. You might as well just annihilate them.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a Sherman after all.
He's just instantly...
It's a Sherman after all against moving infantry. You might just kill it off. And yeah, by now I think Eugen has given up.
One thing I think that he's done, like, I don't think it would change, but instead of having the 150mm howitzers shooting in the south, shoot it into the city in the north where you actually have radio.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a long
Quarter-U has the better KD and takes the whole series after two really decisive games in game number 1 and 2 in a really long game that was an absolutely joy to cast, but I think it was an absolutely shit show to play. Like, both players, I think, were on the edge multiple times there. And yeah, really interesting. Let's have a look onto this deck of Eugen. I'm really interested in that one. But first of all, congratulations to Mr. Quarter-U in this amazing series, taking it 3-0, moving in stellar fashion into Division 1 for Season 5. With Eugen also returning. And yeah, we see 6 ME-109 G6s, no bombers whatsoever. And yeah, Ju-188s are the bombers you get, including the one with 2 1,000 kilogram bombs. And those obviously would have been quite nice, but you also have to defend them, and that's, I guess, what he shied away from. And that's why I didn't get them. And
that's the crappy Ju-188, because it's the medium resilience one, which makes them really, really bad for their cost.
Yeah.
Like, they have bad availability, medium resilience, and still cost lots of points. They're very poor.
Yeah, so he had all the Flak 41s he could get. He didn't have any more cards left in his deck available. And yeah, artillery-wise, it's also that what you could have taken, like one off map, one battery furrower, and a 150mm. In the AT tab, yeah, like 2 cards of Nashorns. I guess maybe the Pack 43 card would have been better.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like, yeah, I think that would have
especially
been
with Nigel coming in A with veterancy is interesting card as well. Like, this is a really interesting deck. But like, it overall looks like just what you kind of expect out of this deck. Maybe the IGs would have been better than the MG42s as well. But MGs are really good now, so...
Yeah, we're just gonna say, yeah, MGs you still want, but this is, yeah, but at the same time, this game is... You're never going to lose to the infantry in this game. It's just like taking out if you take out the Shermans and half tracks, you're pretty much good to go.
Yeah, so that's why I said maybe take
the... Just try to take the IG-33s, because they actually have a decent heat shell, right?
But it's only 800-meter range. That's the issue.
Because they can actually kill Shermans and stuff with their
but it's only
shells.
800-meter range. That's the issue. And the aim time is shitty. So I would rather take AG-18s. Also, take the Befehlsstück to have one more Stück in your deck instead of the Befehlspanzer 2. But yeah, like overall, there was not much more he could have changed. He just needed to trade a bit better against Shermans, and he didn't. And in the end, Quarter-U wins it quite decisively. So yeah, it was a blast to cast this, guys. It's a blast to be back. And GGVP to everyone. Thanks for watching, guys. What an amazing game of casting. Thank you a lot for helping me out. That was a long cast. Really, really fun. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for having me. So, welcome back, and it's gonna be interesting. And thank you very much for organizing the league and all. It's been amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really looking forward for Season 5, especially with all the changes announced by yuejin. And really looking forward for tomorrow, guys. Because this is not the end just yet. Tomorrow we will have Division 1, the last semi-final, with Gonzo versus... Who is he playing again? Oh, yeah. He's in the semifinals. Gonzo versus... I just can't get the name. This... my brain is hurting. I just can't get it. So, Gonzo versus Wesley, and then the winner against Karma in the finals is what we will see tomorrow. So,
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, interesting.
that's the two series for tomorrow. And for now, guys, I will restart the stream, and then I will play 1 or 2 more games of Steel Division 2. As I said, again, thank you a lot for joining me, and yeah, let's have some fun playing the game. Or at least
Sounds
try to
good.
have some
Thank you
fun.
very much. Yeah, you're gonna be interesting with all the new. There's been some good changes.
Yeah,
with
I'm really
APCR
looking
and all
forward to
that.
get my hands onto the changes. Having some nice air micro and stuff. So, see you guys in a second.